Hello everyone! Welcome! It's World Card Making time! I have been waiting for this, for a few weeks now. So I've been planning this and preparing it, and I know you are going to love what I have to share with you today. So let me just get my computer up so that I can see all of your comments. As you guys come online, make sure you say hello, and I am so happy that you're here. If you're watching this on replay, hashtag replay, thank you for being here, and I hope you love this video. Let me just get on here and set everything up. Hi Mom, say hi as you come on. Let me know who's here watching today. I'm so glad you're joining me. I'm just getting my computer set up so I can see your comments as we go along. Just give me 1 second here. I think I'm already on mute, so let me know if you're having any tech problems. I know I say this every single time, but we did implement a few changes with our router, and so hopefully I have solved the problems with things cutting out and not being as fluid as I'd like them to be. But let me know if you have any issues in the comments as well so that I can keep my eye on that. And I know if what we implemented actually is helping or not helping. So, okay, come on, computer, let's do this. Okay. Looks like we are live. So thank you for being here. Hi, Amy. Welcome. Who else do we have online? Say hi. I may have to close my window because the sun is beating right down, which looks great for the light and the camera, but I am a sweaty mess already and I've just started. So say hello. I'm just going to give a few seconds here for people to join us, but let me tell you what the day looks like. So this is the first session of a few today for World Card Making Day, and I'm glad that you're able to be here. Right now, we are going to learn together the mirror image stamping technique, along with how to cut that out with reverse die cut or with a punch. So I'm going to share that with you today. And then using the images that we create today, we're going to make a really cute shaker box. So this is going to be something that you can house your cards in that we make a little bit later in our Stampa stack, or whichever cards that you've been creating lately that you want to give as a gift or you just want a home for. So I'm going to share that with you as well. So that's what we're going to do right now at 3. At 4 o'clock, I am going to post a layout challenge. So how that works is it is just basically a layout idea that's supposed to inspire you to create and make your own card. So it is World Card Making Day. So this is a way for us just to inspire one another and to practice using some basic layouts to create cards. So that's just a really great way to get started and a really great thing to have on hand when you are just starting to card make, or even if you are an avid card maker. I find layouts to be so helpful when I'm kind of in a rut and I don't know exactly where to start. So hopefully that'll help you. And then at 5 o'clock is our Stampa stack with the frosted gingerbread set. And I will tell you a little bit more about that as we get going, but that's here at 5 o'clock. So whether you plan to stamp along with me, I did leave a supply list in a post earlier, maybe just yesterday actually. I did put a post up with the supply list. So if you want to stamp along, then get your supplies ready and come. Otherwise, just come at 5 and you can watch how the cards are put together and learn and see how you might substitute that with something that you have on hand too. So you can always do that. And then last is at 7, we're going to have an opportunity to craft and chat. So that will be on Zoom so that we can all kind of interact with one another. And again, I'll let you know a little bit more about that and post a link for that later on today. But all day long, I'll be out with Prize Patrol, so that means we will have some drawings for those of you that are here and for those of you that participate in our challenges. So watch for that too, and make sure you stick around to the end so that we do a draw at the first draw at the end of this session. So sorry you can see all this mess over here. You're not really supposed to be able to see that, but that's okay. Are we ready to get stamping? While you come on, say hello. Let me know that you're here. Hi, Debbie. I'm glad you could make it. Glad that you took a break from homework. I have so much homework to do this weekend as well. For those of you who know me, you know I also am going to college at the moment. And so because I have so much homework to do today, you know, I did things like I got the garden weeded. I, did the dishes. I haven't started my homework yet, but I did do a lot of other things that I've been procrastinating, apparently for a day when I wanted to avoid doing homework. So anyways, here we are, and I'm glad you could be here, Debbie. All right, let's get started. All right, I'm just gonna flip you around, so give me 1 second. Ooh. This is the weird, let me turn you around mode. and get my camera set up without turning you off. All right. Again, thank you all for being here. I'm gonna make sure we're in the camera here. Okay, and I know where to craft. All right, I think we're good. So what you're gonna need for this is a silicone sheet or a silicone craft mat. I can't exactly remember. I think it's called a silicone craft mat. They're very affordable in the annual catalog. It's just a piece of silicone rubber. We need that for this technique. We're also going to be using Memento black ink. You want to use the Memento. The Stays On ink it will actually just leave marks on your silicone mat instead of just stamping off. So we want to use our Memento ink. We're going to use the Peaceful Deer bundle. So that includes the stamp set and the punch. Now, just to give you a heads up, this bundle is in low inventory status currently because of the punch. So the stamp set is still widely available. The punch is going out of stock. And punches generally take a little longer to get back in stock because they're not manufactured in-house. So with all of the shipping delays currently, if this is something that you're interested in, grab it while you can. And I did put a link in the comments to all of the supplies that you see here to make it easy to find what we use today for this project. Hi, Auntie Pat. Thank you. Yes, this is Messy Bun approved and Sweatpant approved crafting time for sure. So, so thank you for being so kind, Auntie Pat. All right, silicone mat. We've got our bundle and we've got our Memento ink and I have my stamp ready to go. So we're also going to need some paper. So I've got some white cardstock here, just some scraps, and I need my scissors. Give me 1 second. Where are my scissors? I was just using them right before I came on here today. There we go, scissors. Okay, and put them in a different bucket for a different session. Okay, so we've got a scrap of white paper here. And what we're going to do is with our Memento ink, we are going to stamp up our image. You want to make sure it's nice and juicy. Now, I might have to try this a couple times because I did notice that my Memento ink pad is getting a little dry and I might need to re-ink it. So we will see how it goes. And you're going to stamp that straight down onto your silicone pad. Okay, now before it dries, you are going to actually just lay this piece of paper on top, hold it down, and it kind of doesn't really move because the silicone mat, it's like, you know, it's sticky, sort of sticky. So your paper isn't really going to shuffle with you, but make sure you stick it right down. Give it a good rub on there. And then we're going to pull it up. And now you've got your image the reverse way. So let me show this to you because I guess I could have told you. When you stamp the image regularly, and you're like, so what? So you got it backwards. What on earth? Your image would look like this. So now we have the deer going the other direction. Now what this is nice for is if you're making something where you have multiple of the same image on there, you don't necessarily want them all going the same way. It's not quite as exciting or as interesting. Or if you're wanting to lay them out where they're facing each other for a conversation, for a little heart, you can do it this way too and use the reverse image. And I'll show you some other stamp sets that are really good for this technique as well. Now we have these, and this is really easy. This is our punch that coordinates to punch out the deer that goes along with the stamp set, right? We can, and I hope I didn't get it too close to the other deer. We can punch him out no problem, but now we can't punch out this guy. This guy is facing the wrong way. If we punch him in here, he doesn't fit. So how are we going to punch out that deer with our punch? And what we're going to do with that is we are going to use some Post-it notes. These are just your everyday regular Post-it notes. I pinched my finger in that punch. All right. And you want 2 of them, and you want to try not to separate them. You want them to stay as close together as possible. Take them off of your pad of Post-it notes. We're going to punch this out. And I learned this technique from a fellow demonstrator named Chelsea Christensen. She is a brilliant crafter. I don't know how sometimes people think of these things. So we're going to stick it in here. Now this part is not tricky, but you may find it difficult to get this out. We need to just really be patient and gentle because sometimes I did it. All these little pieces that are on here, they bend up and they get stuck in your punch. So we want to try to keep our stencil as clear as we can. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to set this little guy aside, is we are going to take this and very gently, again, because we don't really want to separate these edges too much, we are going to take this, the other way, and I am going to line up my punch with my deer. Now I need to trim him down a little bit because I need to have him closer to the top. So let's just cut him out of here. And you want to cut as close as you can to the top here when you're doing that. Now when you do this technique, it's going to take a couple tries. I have been playing with this just to be able to get a nice clear image off of your mat. And also the biggest challenge is honestly with these Post-it notes. They like to kind of bunch up and not kind of very cleanly come out of the punch all the time. So just be patient and just work slowly and easily. And we're just going to twist our little deer in here until he lines up like that. And I'm actually going to just take a little bit of adhesive, whichever adhesive you have on hand. I'm going to just, you don't have to do this part, but I find that it helps to hold down my paper a little bit so that it doesn't shift while I'm putting it in my punch. So we've got it in between our two Post-it notes. We're going to turn this over and we're going to use our punch. And we're going to, again, very carefully, so that none of the papers kind of get stuck in there, we're going to line this up again. Okay? So we're going to line this back in, and we don't want to see any of the blue. So we want to kind of line it up until the blue is covered as best as we can. So again, just take your time. Okay, I think we've done pretty good there. Now we're going to punch where we can see no more of the blue on our stencil. And when we turn it over, we're going to have our little deer punched out. Now I've got some of the blue sticking onto the edge, but some of the Post-it notes stuck on here. But that's okay. We'll get that off. So we have our deer now punched out going both ways. So that's how you reverse punch, or one way that you can reverse punch with a punch, obviously. And then if your stencil is in good shape, you can reuse it, but I actually find that it doesn't, once you've used it, it's kind of too loose and all of these little pieces get caught in the punch. So you may have to use a new stencil each time you do this. So another punch that's really good for this would be the well done punch. Because again, you've got the whale going one way if you want to do it the other way. All right, let's make a project with these. And then I'm going to, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you the other ones right now. Okay, so I also wanted to show you how to do this with die cuts. We're not going to use the die cuts today for a project, but I want to show you how to do this if you have die cuts as well. So I'm going to go back to my mat here, and I got to make sure that I clean this off. Otherwise, this ink is still going to transfer. I just keep a little package of wipes in my craft room for this purpose. And we're just going to give that a little bit of a wipe. So there, now my mat is nice and clean and ready for the next image. Okay, set that aside. And so for this one, I'm actually going to pull out, this one was from the Celebration Accounting Sheep. And you can use any with die cuts. I'm using this one just because it's a really good, clear example of how this works, and a larger image so it shows up well on the camera, okay? So I'm going to just pull out, actually my sheep is not in here. Do I already have it in here somewhere? I do. Okay, I have got a sheep already out. Again, we've got our Memento ink, and you could do this with any of the the classic inks. So if you wanted to stamp in a different color, you could always do that too. I'm just using black today so that it shows up nicely. Okay, so we're going to stamp this. You want to make sure your image is nice and inked up, okay? You need that in order to get it to transfer over. If it's not really saturated, you're not going to get a nice crisp image. Okay, so we're going to set that down. We're going to just give it a nice good rub again. And you guys, this is really easy. Like, Simple, 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 and very affordable. Like this craft sheet is about, I don't know, $5 or something or so in the annual catalog. It is not an expensive thing to have on hand. And it's just so easy to do this technique. Okay, now let me show you how to do this with die cuts. Okay, so we've got our sheep on here now. And excuse, I'm going to just tear this off because it's bothering me that we have that on there. Okay, so we're going to take out our sheep dies now. So this is the coordinating sheep. And again, this is an example. I realize that this stamp set celebration is now over, but I want to show you how to do this with dies, and you can replicate this in many, many ways. So I really like to use washi tape because it's a little bit less sticky, or you could use a piece of masking tape, painter's tape, but I just take a little piece of this and just kind of tack it off on my skin or on my pants or whatever, so it's not quite as sticky, so that when I pull it up, it's not going to wreck my paper. Okay, so I've got that ready, and the other thing you need is a flashlight, or you can just hold it up to your window, but in this case I can't because I've got you guys on camera, so I'm going to use a flashlight. What you do is you take your flashlight and shine it behind your image. Sorry, it has to be upside down. Can you see the image there? I'm just going to wait till my computer catches up to my things to see if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. I can see that. And then you're going to line up your die cut from that you can see through your paper. So all you need, you can do this if you have a light box. I know lots of people have a light box for other types of crafting. And then you're going to just very carefully tape this down with your washi tape. Okay, so then once you've got it down, you can let go and just make sure you've got it all lined up. I don't know, can you see that, guys? See, it's all inside there. So then I'm just gonna run this through like I normally would through my die cut. And when it punches out, then this is, you just flip it over and your image is on your die cut. See? Okay, that's all I'm going to show you with that. We're not going to use this for today's project, but I wanted to show you how to do this if you had die cuts and not a punch. It is way easier with die cuts than with a punch because you don't have to muddle with the Post-it notes getting trapped in your punch and whatnot, but neither of them are difficult. Okay, let's make a project now with the images that we created with our reverse stamping technique. So I am going to very quickly color these, and I want to be able to see some of the white through my deer because I am going to actually, we're going to make a shaker box today, and the shaker box is made out of this craft window box that is in the mini catalog. And so I don't really want to have dark brown deer because they're not going to stand out. So I want to show a little bit of white. I'm using an ivory Stampin' blend. This comes in a pack with a bronze, and I'm literally just going to color around the edge or kind of follow the lines, and I'm using my brush tip. You guys, I'm kind of shaky today. Not enough coffee. Oh, maybe too much coffee. I don't know. So I'm going to just color around the edge of the deer like this. I am not going to do the regular stamping blends where we're shading and doing all of that, but you absolutely could if you wanted to. This is your project. You could just use whatever color if you want them to be, I don't know, festive deer. You can make them whatever color you want. I really like the ivory because it's still going to allow them to show up really nicely against the craft. They're not too dark. Okay, and see how quickly I'm going? Like, it really is not difficult, and you'll see it's going to look lovely, I promise you. Okay, so we've got our two deer colored just like that, our two reversed image deers. We are going to set these little guys aside. Let me show you how to make the shaker box. Okay, so what you're going to do here for your shaker box is we are going to use the inside. So the inside, you can see the whole square piece of the window sheet. So if you've watched my shaker card video, you know exactly what we're going to do. But let me show you how to do that here with this box. We need a piece of foam adhesive strip. So these are just long pieces of dimensionals, basically, long strips of them. And what we're going to do is we are going to take this piece and we are going to, as closely as we can, around the edge of the window. We don't want it to show through the window. We are going to lay down the adhesive sheet. Now it does have some bend in it. You can wiggle it, or you could cut it and start it again, I'm just going to bend it around here and follow the window, just like this. And I might trim it right here just because it's, if you start to show the sticky side through, it's going to catch all of your beautiful gems. And then when you get to the end, you just take another one and keep on going. That's all there is to this. Everything I think sometimes looks difficult, but once we see how to do it, it is easy peasy. Okay, I'm going to give this another trim. You want to make sure you're not leaving any gaps between your strips. So if you cut them, make sure you line it right up against the place where you stopped, so there's no breaks between the foam strip. Okay, so we're going to go back down like this. Just like that, we've created our window. Right, any pieces that are left are still good. Stick them back on your sheet. And in your package, you do get 2 sheets of them. So you've got enough adhesive strips to make a million different boxes or cards in here. And again, you'll find those in the annual catalog just with all the rest of the adhesives. I have cut here a piece of the ombre, I think it's called the ombre specialty glimmer paper or something. I don't quite remember. Click the link, it'll take you to it. It comes in 4 different colors in the package. I'm using the blue one here, and it just kind of fades in an ombre fashion from dark to light. And I've cut out a piece here that measures, I think, 4 by 5.25. So that seems to fit perfectly over the box. So now you just decide, well, it really doesn't matter for this project which way you want the dark at the top or the dark at the bottom. All right, but before we do that, we need to add some sequins. So I am using these gorgeous subtle shimmer sequins from the mini catalog. This is part of the Peaceful Place, I think that's what it's called, Peaceful Place Suite, the black and sort of the black and white one. And we're going to just put in here a couple little pinches, except I like a lot, so I'll probably put a little bit more than a couple little pinches. But you can put in as little or as many as you like. And there are silver ones in here, and there are white ones in here in different sizes. So they're really, really pretty. So I'm going to just stick in a bunch like that. Okay. I'm going to close that back up. And then we're going to take off the sticky strip here from the back of the adhesive strips. Again, we want to make sure that it stays stuck down nice and tight. Pull that off, and I think we got it all off, yeah. Okay, and then we're going to stick this on. And the nice thing is we have this square to line up with, so it makes it really easy to make sure that we've got it covered. We want to make sure that we have paper covering our whole, all of the sticky strip, that there's no little gaps, there's no holes for our sequins to escape from, any of that. If you wanted to make this big enough to cover the whole lid so you don't have this border around there, you can do that too. It didn't bother me, but if that bothers you, then just cut it a little bit larger. And then you can just prop a couple dimensionals along the edge and your paper will fit over the whole lid instead of just the center part, if you prefer that look. So now when we turn it over, we have a little shaker box. Isn't that adorable? So fun. These boxes are food safe. So if you have a food gift to give, you can use these boxes, but they fit perfectly for a regular card size as well. So they're a great option for gift giving the cards that you create. Okay, let me move this out of the way. I don't need that anymore. So let me show you quickly how to put this box together. So we're going to take off all of these adhesive pieces here, the covers of them. Actually, I'm going to just take off these 4 to start with. And I'm going to make the bottom, we're going to fold on all of the pre-scored places here. So we're going to just fold them in, just like so. Flip it over. And then these little tabs go inside your box, just like this. And you literally just go like this. You fold it up, line up your edges, and stick it down. So on the top, fold it up, line it up, stick it down. That's all there is to it. So I like to make the box on the bottom. You only have 4 tabs on one of the sides. On the other side, you just have 2 tabs, if that makes sense. so it doesn't hold it on the back end so that it's more mobile. So I put the tabs in at the bottom. All right, so we've got this all folded. Let's take our sticky stuff off here again. Sorry if I'm making too much racket. Okay, I've decided I think my kids are the tech problem because I sent them all away. Well, I shouldn't say that. My son is at work and my daughter, my youngest daughter, went swimming with her dad, my husband, her dad. And so I've just got one kid at home to share bandwidth with. So I think that they're actually the problem. It might not be my internet after all. Anyway, so now you've got your box that closes like this. So let's decorate our box. That doesn't want to go together. Okay, and I need some more scrap paper. To do this, I'm going to stamp a couple more images. I'm going to use Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent, and we're going to stamp some trees. And I forgot I was going to do this earlier so you guys didn't have to watch me. However, maybe you want to watch me. Maybe you want to see how this card all comes together. So we're going to do it together. I've got the large tree out, and then both of the smaller tree images I'm going to use as well. Is that the one I used? It is. Well, I guess there's one more tree in there. So we've got sort of the two smallest and the one largest. There's one middle-sized tree we're not going to use for this project. Okay, we need a block. And I'm going to just put the two little ones together on a block. And then I'm going to have one large long block. This is an H block for the tree. And if you ever wonder which size of block you need, just to make sure you have it on hand, in the catalog it says underneath of each of the stamp sets what size of blocks you need for the images in that stamp set. So then you'll know if you have the size that you need or whether you need to add that to your order. So the Evening Evergreen, I'm going to stamp my large tree in Evening Evergreen. And I'm also going to do one, I'm going to do one of these as well, but I think I only need the middle-sized tree. Okay, we're done with Evening Evergreen. I'm going to just get my chamois here to quickly clean this. Okay, set that aside. We're going to go to the Soft Succulent, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to want to have both of these. So let's see. I'm going to be cutting them out, which is why I said I thought I was going to do this ahead of time, but apparently not. Apparently we're going to do it together. So I'll cut quick. Okay, so with my paper snips, I love the paper snips. They're kind of small and they're just easy to navigate when you're doing fussy cutting. So fussy cutting just means you're cutting it out. You're being fussy and you're cutting. All right, so we're just going to follow along. And the way that I like to do this is really using the back part of my scissors. The ends, if you're going to make little tiny cuts, you're not going to get a nice smooth edge on your cutting. So I move my paper as I go and I use the inside part of my scissors. And I move it back up and I keep going. So I'm going to just do this quickly. So it may not be as perfect, but you can see how I'm rotating the paper instead of moving my scissors. And then I just slowly press down and keep my scissors moving. Now you can move as close or as far away if you want to leave a border or not is really up to you. I always like to leave a little bit of a white border, but it's not necessary. You can do it right up against the edge of your image as well if you like it to be a little bit tighter. Also, I'm kind of trying to hurry, so having a border is a lot easier than trying to make sure I don't cut any of the image off. And it doesn't take too long, but it does take a second. So today we have some fish at our house. And one of them died this week. I mean, we've lost a few fish. They're fish. After all, they die eventually. We've had our tank now for a couple of years, I think, or maybe it's just been 1 year. I'm not sure. My daughter has been dying for a pet, my youngest daughter. And so I said, okay, the only pet she's really allowed to have is a fish. So we got fish for her birthday 1 year. She was not overly excited about the fish. They're basically my fish. But anyways, so one by one, they just kind of keep dying. because that's what they do, these little fish. And so this week one died, and so we only had 4 fish left. And so we decided today to go and get a new fish. So we got a silver molly. We had our very first fish was a molly. And it was so just engaging. Like, it would just come up to the tank and it would follow your finger around, and it just seemed to know when you were there. And it was just, you know, it was a friendly fish, and as friendly as a fish can be. So we decided to try and get another one. So we got this molly today so I could avoid doing homework, and put him in with the tank. And I mean, so far he's alive, but the little guys are not very happy. They have been ganging up on him, chasing him around the tank. So we'll see how that ends. But okay, so you can see it doesn't actually take that long to cut these out. All right, we've got one left here. So Amy, I think that you could easily fit 6 cards in there in the box. Amy asked how many cards would fit in the craft box. If you had scored them nicely so they're laying flat, I think you could easily fit half a dozen cards in there. But we can try that out to make sure. All right. Okay, the trees are cut, so moving on. Thank you for sticking with me while I cut trees. It's not the funnest part of the project by any means. We have one other thing we need to do, but let's start with this. So I am going to just use liquid adhesive. You can use seal, you can use whatever you like. I am going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue, and I've got too much on here, so I'm going to also put some on this other little guy. And I'm going to stick this sort of right about there, kind of in the corner towards the left side. And I love the liquid glue here because you can move it around a little bit. So as you decide where you want them to be. So then even as I put my other pieces on, if I decide that I don't like where I put them, they're still, because it's on a piece of window sheet, it's going to still move around a little bit. So it gives me a little bit of wiggle room here. I'm going to stick this on here. And then on this one, I'm going to actually use dimensionals on here. So at the very top of my tree, it's kind of small, so I might pull out my mini dimensionals to just put one little one up at the top. So these are, you can get either in your catalog. You can also just cut the larger ones down if you want to as well, but you can see how they're just useful for different sizes of projects. And a good tip to know is that actually the black dimensionals, you get a variety of large and small ones in your package. So if you wanted the best bang for your buck, you can always buy the black ones as well. Okay, so I've used dimensionals to stick on my tree. Let me just show you that. So here's the black ones. So you get a couple sheets of big ones and a couple sheets of small ones. So you get both sizes in there, which is really nice. Okay, so we need to stick our deer on now. And I forgot to make the sentiment, but we'll do that. So the back end of this deer is going to be against the tree. So I don't want to have a dimensional on there, but I do want to put a dimensional, again, I'm going to use the mini dimensional on his head. And I could use a larger one here, but I've got the minis out. So I'm going to just do that on this section that's going to be stuck onto the window. So this is going to go somewhere just over like this. So I'm going to just kind of try to cover up where my trees are overlapping. Actually, I kind of want this a little bit farther over. He'll be okay. And same on this side. So I'm going to again put the dimensionals on here because it's going to be over on this side. And then just use regular adhesive on his back side because it's going to be laying flat against the box. If you put dimensionals on all of that, then it's just going to be lopsided because the one side is higher, the box is higher than the other. We're going to stick this little guy up here. So you can see how cute that is, having them going both directions. If they were, opposite directions, if they were both going the same direction, it would definitely not, it just doesn't bring it together. Now they're both kind of facing in towards the scene, and it adds a little bit of something to your card. So that is, one of the reasons that you might want to do that. Now the other thing I needed to do was add a sentiment but I didn't get the cardstock. Here it is, Cherry Cobbler. And again, we're going to use that same stamp set, the reindeer stamp set. You know what, guys? I'm like completely just disorganized. I set it aside because I wanted, there it is, so I could have some space to stamp. Do you think I know where I put it? No. Right, I'm going to just pull out the sentiment here that says Merry Christmas. You could use any sentiment that you would like. I'm going to use Merry Christmas because it looks like a Christmas box. And then just get a block. And this here is a G block, just a little one. And we are going to emboss this. So I'm going to just cut off a piece because I don't want to just use this whole sheet. So let's just cut a piece of Cherry Cobbler off here. Use our Versamark ink pad. And if you haven't heat embossed before, I do have a whole video called Heat Embossing 101 on my YouTube page. So you can head over there and check that out as well. But it is pretty simple. So we use Versamark, which is a clear kind of sticky ink. And then I just use, oh my gosh, I almost fell right off of my chair. Okay. I just use a piece of scrap paper and I just keep reusing the same one over and over. And my white embossing powder, that's the clear, we don't want clear. White embossing powder. You could use gold for this too. Gold embossing powder would look probably really pretty. And I just dump it on top like that. And then you just kind of put it onto your mat. And I like to do it twice. I just find that it kind of gives you a little bit more coverage. Give it a little bit of a tap to get off any loose powder that might have stuck on that I don't want. And then we're going to just take this before it gets lost and dump this back into our container. Put our lid. Oh my gosh, you guys, you know what I did? Does this look like embossing powder? No. Heat and stick powder, people. Heat and stick powder. That is not what we want to do. We want to use white embossing powder. So I am going to just wipe this off. Turn over my paper, and let's do that again. This time we're going to use white Stampin' Emboss powder. Welcome to Sarah Lynn Stamps, where we make mistakes and we learn how to fix them. That's pretty much my motto. I need to like just, I don't know, trademark that or something. That's kind of the way it works around here. So, all right. Add our white embossing powder on there now. See, doesn't that look a lot whiter? And we're going to give it a little bit of a flick to get rid of all this excess stuff here. Okay. Here we go. Now we've got the right stuff on there. Let's move that heat and stick powder out of the way. I've got my heat gun here, so this is just going to take a second. And again, if you're not familiar with heat embossing, all it is it has this these little crystals on here that melt when you heat them, and they turn to a nice shiny finish. So it just takes a second, and if it's too hot, you can just hold it down with your take a pick tool or your scissors and give it a little bit of a heat. So you'll see in a second that it starts to change to a glossy white. And then we know it's done. So can you see that changing there? There we go. That's all it takes, folks. So now we've got a nice glossy white Merry Christmas on there. Now I'm going to just trim this down. And I'm just using my snips. You can use your paper trimmer if you're nervous about just cutting, but I am not overly worried about it being perfectly straight because I think it just doesn't really show up. And my ends are going to be about, how would you say that's, 1/4 of an inch? Probably 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Again, you can make this as big or little as you need to. And I'm going to just put a slit right in the middle in order to make a flag. Go from the side to where I created my slit on both sides. And I'm creating a little bit of a flag here is what I'm doing. So by slitting in the middle, you already create the spot where you want to meet so that you can get it kind of centered. Do the same over here. and on that side. So now we've got a flagged Merry Christmas. Get rid of these scraps here. And let's put this on our box. So again, we are going to do this with some dimensionals. I'm going to use the mini dimensionals because this is fairly small. Or narrow, I guess. So they're going to fit the best. And then we are going to finish our little shaker box here by sticking on this Merry Christmas. So I'm going to just stick it over here in the corner. And I don't want it to I don't want it to go over that here. I think it'll be okay right there. There we go. We've got Merry Christmas. So we've got our little shaker box right here. So if you joined a little late, you can just scroll back and see how we did the shaker box. But now this box is ready for our Stamp a Stack at 5 o'clock, folks. But there you go. So we did our reverse image stamping, which you saw was a piece of cake. I showed you how to cut it out with the punch or with a die cut, depending on what image it is. Let me show you a couple of stamp sets, which I said I would do, that this technique would work really well with. You may have some of these in your collection. So I was thinking of Lovely You because some of these flowers, you see how any flower set or tree set where you've got sort of a bent image, sometimes you want them to go both ways. You don't want them all to bend the same way. So that's a really great example of something that you might want to reverse stamp. Same with feathers, or again here, if you want this branch to go the other way, to be able to off balance them, some other great idea. So this is Tasteful Touches. Obviously these little animals would look adorable going either way. Hippo Happiness, and there's die sets for that one. There's dies for the Sailing Home. So if you're doing boats and you don't want them all traveling the same direction in your image or in the scene that you're creating, that's another nice one. Or the birds. To change up. As well as I mentioned the whale, there's a coordinating punch for the Well Done set. That's another real great one. Or you might want to do it with the turtles or whatever, going different directions. And then of course the Party Puffin. So there are a lot of other examples in the catalog. These are just some from my collection that would work and some that you might have. It might give you an idea of how you can use this technique in different ways. So just to check back in, I want to let you know that our next thing is at 4 o'clock. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post a layout challenge. So I'm not going to be on live, but a post will come up at 4 o'clock and it will be a layout. So you are challenged to create a card from that layout inspiration. It doesn't have to be exactly what the layout is, but something using that as a starting point. Post your card in the comment of that post, and you have until tomorrow afternoon. So if you need to think about it a little bit, it's okay, or you don't have time in the next couple hours, you can still join along. And tomorrow afternoon, I will randomly select a participant for a prize tomorrow at 4. So you have till 4 o'clock tomorrow to finish that layout challenge. That will be posted at 4. At 5 o'clock, we have our Stamp a Stack with the Frosted Gingerbread set. So those would be great cards to stick inside your box or not. But join me here, whether you're going to stamp along or not. And like I said, the supply list for that was posted yesterday if you want to stamp along. And then at 7 o'clock, we are going to have a craft and chat with a random challenge, which I'll tell you a little bit more at our next get together at 5 o'clock. So come and join me then. But if you are here today and you would like to participate in the prize, just stick your name in the comments and I am going to add you to the Wheel of Fun. I'm actually going to just turn you guys around here in the camera in just 1 second so that I can see who's here. Put you in the Wheel of Names. And then, so let me switch you around again here. Just start putting your names in if you're here with me. As I switch you around, start putting your names in. Let me know that you're still here and I will add your name into our draw. Hi everyone. I'm back. So if you're here, let me know you're here. Pauline is here. Okay. I've got Pauline. And forgive me if I don't spell everything correctly. Who else is with us that would like to be entered in? I know there's a few of you here. Debbie is here. Who else? give you a second here to put your names in. And then we will do a random draw. Let me show you what you could win. Maybe that'll inspire you to participate. So for this one, I have a package of in color jewels to share. So Auntie Pat, I guess, or Pat. Valerie's here. Welcome. So these are from, these are all the new in colors from the annual catalog, the in color jewels. So pretty in a couple different sizes, and they mix really well with other colors, not just in colors, because they have sort of that iridescent look. So they're quite versatile. Who else do we have here? I have Pauline, Debbie, Pat, Valerie, Dorothy. Are you still with us? Dorothy was on earlier. She had said hello. I'm trying to think who else said hello at the beginning. Dorothy, are you still here? Give me a second. Amy, I know you're here. Amy, are you here? Just a couple more seconds and then I will do the spin. Dorothy is still here. Dorothy. Amy. I'm just looking at the little icons. And I can see Amy's on. Amy, I'm putting you in the draw. Oh, see, I knew it. See, I was like, Amy's just not saying hello because she doesn't want her name in the draw. But I'm going to put Amy's name in the draw anyways because Amy's here. And we love Amy. Okay, so I have Pauline, Debbie, Pat, Valerie, Dorothy, and Amy. Am I missing anybody? No? All right, let us go to the Wheel of Fun. Let me flip you around again. All right, we're ready. Let's clicker. Clicker. Amy. Amy wins. Oh, I know Amy's sitting at her house shaking her head right now. But Amy, I'm so glad that you won. Thank you for coming. You are also invited to come back here at 5 and we will do another draw for those of you that can stand me for another half an hour at 5 o'clock. So anyways, thank you guys for coming. I will see you again. If you have any questions about the project, let me know. I'll kind of watch the comments after the fact. And yes, Amy, I can totally see her right now. And there's also a link to all of the supplies. If you want to know exactly what I use to create this box, just click the link and it'll give you a list of the things that I have. As well, there's a link to sign up for my newsletter. So thank you guys. We'll see you again at 5 o'clock. Watch for the layout post at 4. Bye. I think bye.